And at 10, Portal Pipe. One thing that I found very interesting while watching the trailer was the fact that while yes, Mario comes out of a pipe into the Mushroom Kingdom, he also seemingly pops out of a portal instead of actually being pushed out of the pipe. You know, that kind of thing? Like maybe it's to explain how he can travel so quickly in this universe, since the pipe from probably New Donk to Mushroom Kingdom is definitely a long one. Or maybe it's just because Mario in the pipe would be like Santa in a chimney. But that detail of popping out of a portal instead of a pipe is definitely something to remember, especially when the portal itself is very reminiscent of superstars and how your character looks in games when you have the superstar power. But I'll get into that and into the significance of that later on in this list. We know that this is Mario's first time in the kingdom thanks to him, you know, questioning where he is, so maybe MapHat's theory of the first act being in New Donk and then the rest of the movie in Mushroom Kingdom does have more merit to it than we originally thought. And at 9, poison mushrooms. After Mario gets sent to the Mushroom Kingdom, he almost touches a blue mushroom. This is when Toad pops out from behind it saying that if he touches it, he will die, but then quickly corrects himself saying that that one is actually okay to touch. This made me think, well, if that one isn't deadly, which one is? Because there clearly has to be one if you're gonna say that. And then I remembered the purple mushroom, the poison one. First appearing in Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels from 1986, the poison mushroom doesn't actually kill you, unless, you know, you're little Mario. However, it does reduce your size and revert any power-ups. But considering how I doubt we'll see a smaller Mario in this movie, I bet that the poison mushroom will just kill you if you don't have any power-ups on you, making me think that this will actually be used against Bowser when he ends up rolling up to the Mushroom Kingdom set on destroying everything and taking the princess. And with that, I think I actually have the climactic scene in my head. Bowser is about to win. He has the superstar power and is basically unbeatable. Peach is about to be taken, possibly because she's unconscious, and only Mario is left standing. He has the superstar power too and knows what he has to do. So he grabs the poison mushroom and throws it at Bowser, but it disintegrates in his hand, taking away his star power instead. So in a final act of heroism, he looks at Luigi, smiles, says the iconic "let's-a go" line, picks up the last poison mushroom they have, and starts shriveling, getting weaker, but still throws it at Bowser. Bowser catches it, and for a moment, it doesn't really do anything and we think all is lost. But then the mushroom falls apart and Bowser's power goes away. Mario collapses onto the floor and the rest of the Toads burst through the door and take Bowser down. And then Mario's surrounded by his new friends with his brother holding him and crying. That's how it's gonna end. You're welcome. Or then there's probably gonna be some like Return of the King, Frodo wakes up kind of crap, but you know. And at 8, Bowser symbol. I mean, this one seems fairly obvious in concept. Like, of course, if we see a Bowser symbol, it's going to be the same one we see from the games, but I didn't actually catch this detail for myself until I watched the trailer in quarter speed. Something I learned to do from the Canadian lad, a fellow Canadian YouTuber who watches movies at quarter speed to pick up on small details. Using that technique, I was able to see that when introducing Bowser, the flags that the Koopas are carrying have the iconic Bowser symbol seen in multiple games. But most notably for me, I guess, is Mario Party. Be it landing on a Bowser space or just getting unlucky, this Bowser symbol drives fear and dread into the hearts of thousands, if not more. And I only saw it because I watched this at a quarter speed, so maybe it's something that you missed too. And if you didn't, that's fine. Maybe someone else who's watching did miss it, okay? Or like the rest of this list will have something that you didn't see, okay? So bear with me, just relax. And at 7, classic brick. If we can go back to talking about the portal pipe for a second, at the, I guess I'll call it the ejection point, the end of the tube that Mario pops out of, there are decorations around the pipe, as if it was once a popular location or frequently used. However, now it seems to be somewhat abandoned, with mushroom trees growing all around it and the brickwork being damaged and chipped. But it's not the state of the brickwork that I'm focusing on, it's the fact that, well, it's the bricks, and no, not the brick, the bricks, the classic brick block pattern that has appeared in every Mario game since the dawn of time. I mean, yeah, sure, any brick pattern, I guess, could look like this, but given the context of this being a Mario movie in the Mushroom Kingdom, I think it's kind of a guarantee that this is what they were intentionally going for. But this does beg the question, are these bricks still Toads transformed into bricks? Since in the manual for the original Mario games, they claimed that the citizens of the Mushroom Kingdom had been turned into such objects. Like, doesn't MapHat use that in his whole, like, Mario's a sociopath video? So is that the case in this movie? Because if so, Yikes. And at 6, boo-hoo. The ending scene of the trailer also gives us our first look at Luigi, along with a load of dry bones, or I guess skeletonized Koopas, I guess if you want to call them that, chasing him throughout a spooky forest. Luigi ends up hiding in a mansion and then closes the doors behind him, holding the Koopas out with all of his might. And if you think that I'm going to breeze past the Luigi's Mansion reference here, you have not been subscribed to this channel for long enough. Not only is this very clearly a Luigi's Mansion reference, possibly hinting at future movies, it could also be a hint at a possible King Boo cameo, since not only is Luigi's Mansion heavily focused on ghosts, but the area which he was running through looks an awful lot like the Horrorland Mario Party map, which does feature Boos able to steal stars for 50 coins, and King Boo able to steal a star from everyone for 150 coins. So, could we see a King Boo cameo in this movie? I mean, it would be kind of odd, and maybe out of place, but I'd really like it. I'd like it, okay? Like, maybe it's an end credits scene. Like, imagine Morgan Freeman voicing King Boo. I would love that. That'd be funny as hell. Well, I don't know. And maybe the Luigi's Mansion movie would happen not because Mario got trapped in a mirror, but because King Boo has the ghost of Mario after he sacrificed himself to stop Bowser with the poison mushroom. Ah? Halfway through into number 5, Mario Party. Now, there is certainly an interesting possibility with this movie in that it could just be a Mario Party movie. I mean, like, Bowser is collecting stars. Basically, level that he's flying around with definitely seems to be Mario Party style, with, you know, the big mountain at the end where you would buy the star, then go back to the beginning. The pipes have a star symbol above them as well, as if you had to, like, pay with one to use it, more on that later. And it seems that the stars might be sort of a currency in this universe, which, if that is the case, definitely makes things leaning more towards the whole Mario Party style of gameplay. Especially when, like I just said, Luigi shows up in what is basically Horrorland from Mario Party Superstars originating in Mario Party 2. And not to mention the Boo's Haunted Mansion level from Mario Party 8, my personal favorite Mario Party game, although apparently that's a controversial choice, so I've been told. I don't know, I have good memories with that game, okay? So don't gatekeep Mario Party, the hell? In at 4, another castle. One of the most iconic lines in gaming, your princess is in another castle. It almost broke some gamers, it made others cry with relief since the game wasn't over, yet we still all know the line, and know that it meant we weren't finished with the classic Mario games. And this isn't forgotten in the Mario trailer, since upon entering the Mushroom Kingdom for the first time, we can see a 180 view of Mario's surroundings. And between 145 and 148 seconds in the trailer, we actually see a familiar looking castle in the background. One that we know for certain our princess is not in. Sure, it's in 3D and it's certainly more rounded than we could have perceived in the 2D games, but it's certainly a nice nod to the original games and one of the most memorable and possibly haunting lines in gaming history. Getting close to the end in number 3, Bowser Thanos. Okay, this number stems from the comparison that I instantly made between Bowser finding the star in the trailer and Thanos searching for the Infinity Stones in Avengers Infinity War. Okay, Bowser finds this star and then instantly says that nobody can stop him, which I'm sure is what Thanos was thinking when he got the Power Stone from Xandar. I don't know, okay? I'm getting very Thanos vibes from Bowser in this trailer, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up trying to collect all the superstars that are possibly across the different worlds, kind of like the Chaos Emeralds from Sonic, if you want a gaming comparison. And considering how they establish Bowser as like a really powerful Koopa with fire breath that seemingly goes for miles, he doesn't really need that star to take out the Mushroom Kingdom. So him trying to collect them all for one reason or another so that maybe he has like a monopoly over them would definitely work in his favor. Maybe the Penguins end up beating Bowser by using a superstar, so that's why he has to go and find another, because I mean the background for that one was dark, so we can't confirm that it is in the Penguin world, so. Penultimately, in at number 2, here we come. I think one of the biggest things that people are mad over, despite the rest of the trailer being good, is the blatant tease of the iconic "Let's-a go" line, and it being replaced with "Here we come." And obviously, I think that that's intentional, okay? It's meant to make us angry. It's meant to ruffle our feathers, because looking at that trailer in that moment, Mario's mouth isn't moving. For the brief time that we see his profile, it doesn't move actually at all. So I'm pretty sure that it's just dialogue that was added to the trailer. I don't think that Mario is talking at all in this scene, or if he is, he's just calling out after Toad because, you know, he just showed up here, so I don't think he's immediately like, oh yeah, let's go to the Mushroom Kingdom. I think he's gonna be pretty confused, so I'm pretty sure that this line won't be in the movie, or at least won't be in this scene. They'll have a couple of teases before he actually says it at the end when he's sacrificing himself, just so that the audience cheers when he finally does say it, and I mean, like, that's normal for trailers, okay? Marvel has made whole scenes that never appear in the movies for trailers, and scrap dialogue or even specifically trailer written dialogue isn't out of the ordinary. Trailers aren't actually meant to represent the movie properly. They're meant to get you excited. They're meant to make you spend money. If the trailer gave you the movie, why would you go see the movie, okay? So yeah, I'm confident that this is just for the trailer. So don't worry, people. Don't worry. And finally, in at number 1, Star Pipe. Over the pipe that Mario ends up coming out of, we can see that the symbol for a star is on the wall above it, in what seems to be like a shield shape. However, it's definitely a star within the shield, and I think that that's a hint as to why Bowser was looking for one. I mean, if he just wanted to make him temporarily Super Saiyan, he wouldn't really need it, okay? Because like I said, man could easily wipe out the Mushroom Kingdom and take the princess. I think it's just because that's how these pipes work in this universe. Mario didn't just come out of the pipe like he does in the game. He didn't rise out of it. He doesn't get pushed out. He gets shot out of a portal, which leads me to conclude that these pipes are merely ways to connect these portals and showing us where the portals are. But to actually use them, you're probably going to need a star, which Mario will most likely find by mistake in New Donk City while Donkey Kong was searching for it or something like that. And then it sets up the first act, allows for Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong to shine properly, and then establishes why Bowser would be looking for the stars instead of just trying to rip off Thanos. In a 10 sequel. Yeah, that's right. This movie hasn't even come out yet, and I'm already talking about what the sequel could be, or possibly a spin-off depending on how well it does. The ending scene of the trailer also gave us our first look at Luigi along with a load of dry bones, or I guess skeletonized Koopas, chasing him through a spooky forest. Luigi ends up hiding in a mansion and then closes the door, holding the Koopas out with all of his might. If you think that I'm gonna breeze past the Luigi's Mansion reference here, you haven't been subscribed to this channel for long enough, alright? So do it right now. Not only is this a very clear Luigi's Mansion reference, it possibly could be hinting at a future movie. It could also be a hint at a possible King Boo cameo, since not only is Luigi's Mansion heavily focused on ghosts, I mean it's literally a ghost busting game, but the area which he was running through looks an awful lot like the Horrorland Mario Party map, which does feature Boos able to steal stars for 50 coins, and a King Boo that can steal multiple stars for 150. So, could we see King Boo in this movie? I mean, it would be kind of odd. It might not really fit in depending on where the story goes, but I'd like to see it. I don't know, maybe we can get an end credits scene about it, something like that. Imagine like someone random though, like Bo Burnham, just showing up for King Boo, and they cast him just so that they can call him King Bo. I don't know. That would honestly not be out of the question. I feel like that'd be hilarious. I mean, they cast Chris Pratt as freaking Mario, so who knows at this point. But the more likely possibility is that the next movie is based on the best Luigi game of all time. I mean, like, is there like any other Luigi games? I don't know. Were they good? Did anyone play Super Luigi U? I don't know. In at 9, currency. On the wall above the pipe that Mario ends up coming out of when he first enters the Mushroom Kingdom, we can see the symbol for a star on the wall above the pipe, in what seems to be like a shield shape. However, it's definitely a star that's there, and I think that's a hint as to why Bowser was looking for one earlier in the trailer. I mean, if it was just to make him temporarily Super Saiyan, he wouldn't really need it, because looking at it, this man can easily wipe out the Mushroom Kingdom and take the princess at will, and I think it's because that's how these pipes are supposed to work in universe. Mario didn't just like come out of a pipe like he does in the games. He didn't get pushed out of it like he normally would. He was shot out of a portal, which leads me to conclude that these pipes are merely connecting the portals and possibly to show people where they actually are. But to actually use them, you're gonna need a star, which Mario will most likely find by mistake in New Donk City, while Donkey Kong was probably searching for it as well, which sets up the first act, allows for Seth Rogen as DK to shine properly, and establishes why Bowser would be looking for a star instead of just trying to be a really weird Thanos cosplayer, because let's be honest, That's what it was. And it ain't musical. Matt Pat, at the end of his film theory on the topic, yes, film theory, not game theory, it is a movie after all, suggested that perhaps the Super Mario Bros. Movie is going to be a musical. Now this may seem kind of out of nowhere, and you know what part of it is. However, he brings up some pretty good points in the video. Everyone who has been cast, even seemingly minor roles, have some background in or ability to sing. Chris Pratt in the Lego Movie, Seth Rogen in Lion King, Anya Taylor-Joy in General, Jack Black, Keegan-Michael Key. Everyone who has been cast has sung at least once on screen or professionally. Illumination also has a strong history of making musicals. Sing, Sing 2, The Grinch, Hop, The Lorax. And as Matt Pat said, The Lorax wasn't even originally a musical. And then all the other stuff that can come from there being music in the movie. Extra licenses that Nintendo can sell for any original tracks. The merch tie-ins with like a stuffed Bowser that starts singing "This Girl Is on Fire" when you squeeze it. Plus, it being even more of a kids movie would bring in younger crowds also, while also sucking up to adults with pure nostalgia and curiosity. So yeah, it's definitely possible. And at 7, Mario Party. Now, there's certainly an interesting possibility with this movie in it that it could just be a Mario Party movie. I mean, Bowser's collecting stars, the level he was flying around on seems very Mario Party style, with like a big mountain at the end where you would buy the star. And then the pipes having the star symbol above them, as if you had to pay with one to use it. It seems like stars are, again, a sort of currency, which if it is the case, definitely makes things leaning more towards the Mario Party style of gameplay, especially when, like I just said, Luigi showing up in what is basically Horrorland from Mario Party Superstars originating in Mario Party 2 is kind of a hint. And not to mention the whole booze haunted mansion level from Mario Party 8. Could that be intentional? Possibly. Could it be that the same designers were working on all of the assets? More possible. Is it that all spooky houses and forests in this animation style look the same? Probably. But hey, who knows? And at 6, end credits. Ever since the rise of the MCU and their use of post-credit scenes, they've become almost expected at this point. Any new movie that has the possibility for an end credit scene, we wait for as long as it takes to see if there is one. Well, if you don't look it up beforehand at least. But with the Mario Party movie, we're expecting end credits as well, or at least I personally am, and I think most people are. And with the movie being animated, these credits can literally be anything. There are infinite possibilities. I have no idea what I can even list or how I could begin to describe what could happen. Any Nintendo property could be introduced, okay? Things that we thought were canceled could be revealed to still be in the works. Hell, they could just reference the original Mario Bros. Movie and make a joke that it's the same guys, but this time it's just better. Well, at least, hopefully it's better. I mean, we can't really know yet, but hopefully this is better, fingers crossed. And honestly, depending on what they are hoping to do, they can do anything with the end credits. They could have Mario appear in like a Nintendo theme park and then promote a new ride that they're making. They can have him appear in our world and then turn into an amiibo. They can do anything, and that's honestly kind of terrifying. Halfway through into number 5, final scene. After Toad mistakenly tells Mario that the blue mushroom is deadly and then corrects himself, this makes me think, if that one isn't deadly, which one is? And then I remembered the purple mushroom, you know, the poison one, first appearing in Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels from 1986. The poison mushroom doesn't actually kill you. However, it does reduce your size and reverts any power-ups. And considering how I doubt we'll see a small Mario in this movie, I bet that poison mushroom will kill you if you don't have any power-ups. Making me think that this is going to be some sort of Deus Ex Machina to use against Bowser when he ends up rolling up to the Mushroom Kingdom, set on destroying it and taking the princess. And with that, I think I've actually had the climactic scene in my head, alright? Picture it. Bowser's about to win. He has the superstar power and is basically unbeatable. Peach is about to be taken, probably because she's unconscious, and Mario is the only one left standing. He has the superstar power too and knows what he has to do. So he grabs a poison mushroom to throw it at Bowser, but it disintegrates in his hand, taking away his star power instead. So, in an act of pure selflessness and heroism, he looks at Luigi, smiles, says his iconic "Let's-a go" line, and picks up the last poison mushroom they have. It starts shriveling in his hand. He gets weaker, but he throws it at Bowser anyway. Bowser catches it without looking at it, and for a moment it doesn't do anything. We think all is lost, but then the mushroom falls apart and Bowser's power goes away. Mario collapses to the floor, and then the rest of the Toads finally burst through the door they've been bashing at and take Bowser down. And then Mario is surrounded by his new friends while Luigi holds him crying because, you know, He's dying. Yeah. Do it. In it for new Donk. Donkey Kong is officially cast and has been cast for a while now, alright? But that means that DK is going to be in this movie. And thinking about it, where does a giant gorilla with a tie fit into a land covered in mushrooms that is being populated by toads? Okay? That's the thing. He doesn't. But considering the other casting, it's highly possible that this movie starts off in New Donk City, like I've been talking about. Thanks to MatPat on Film Theory, we know that there was a casting for Foreman Spike, who in Wrecking Crew from 1985, where you still play as Mario, but it isn't an official Mario game, he was Mario and Luigi's horrible boss, and basically the antagonist of the game, if you can consider it an antagonist since, you know, it's a 2D platformer before I was even a thought, but I guess the concept of the antagonist did exist, so it's an inevitability, I suppose. But considering Foreman Spike, Donkey Kong, and Cranky Kong, plus the fact that, you know, Mario doesn't know about the Mushroom Kingdom before showing up there since he asks what that place is. You don't ask where you are if you already know where you are. And with all of that added together, the possibility of New Donk City making an appearance in my mind is basically not a possibility. It seems confirmed to me. Or maybe it'll be actual New York instead. I don't know if they want to make it more relatable. Getting close to the end, into number 3, interesting themes. So this is quite a wild theory that starts off pretty normal. But here is what Reddit user AEM2122 on the Nintendo subreddit was thinking about the movie. Quote, I will talk about some confirmed things that will be important for this theory. The first is that Donkey Kong is confirmed in the movie, and also a toy leak that shows Donkey Kong with a barrel in hand, which indicates that he will probably face Mario, since the keg in his hand refers to the classic Donkey Kong game where he fights Mario. And the second thing is that when Mario went to the Mushroom Kingdom, he had never been there before. That's important. So, with these two things in mind, we can say that Donkey Kong will face Mario in the beginning, because the story of Donkey Kong kidnapping Pauline and Mario going to save her is something that doesn't make much sense after Mario meets Princess Peach, and it wouldn't really fit in the story, so this was probably happening at the beginning. And Mario manages to save Pauline, but Mario leaves frustrated. He doesn't get anything in return, which shows us one thing, that the message of the movie can be about lack, coming back for the history of F in the movie. Mario is sad because of his frustration and lack. Then the events happen that take him to the Mushroom Kingdom, and there he meets Peach, and yes, Mario wants to conquer Peach. But because of his selfish desire, Mario ends up messing things up and makes him learn a great lesson, and in the end Mario saves Princess Peach, but with another motivation. Dude, is this fan fiction? What happened here? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. But ultimately, in at number 2, the same movie. What if this Super Mario Bros. Movie that they've been working on with Illumination for apparently the past 7 years, according to what they said in the Nintendo Direct, what if this just ends up being the same movie as the first one, but animated? Of course it's gonna be different, okay, in the sense that we don't really need to see Bowser transform into a Koopa, but what if the actual story ends up being the same thing, but this time it's just presented in animated form? That's part of what the original one was missing, okay? Being live action, it made them very limited in what they could do, but now maybe their goal is just to fix the flaws they had in their previous attempt. And with Detective Pikachu and Sonic doing pretty well, the good CGI in those too, maybe they'll like work their way back into the real world and actually like meeting the characters that they had originally, or they were actually them, I don't know. And then maybe the Smash Bros. Movie we all thought was happening isn't out of the question. And you know what, actually, speaking of which, finally, in at number 1, the MCU. Remember way back when we saw Sonic and Detective Pikachu and we thought we were going to be getting some sort of video game cinematic universe? Well, considering how the Super Mario Bros. Movie is animated, allowing for them to do crazier things, and the fact that Nintendo bought what is, at least for the purposes of this, a film and animation studio, getting more than just the Super Mario Bros. Movie is not out of the question, especially if it does well, like I said earlier. There were rumors of a DK spin-off already in the works, and with the amount of things that they can set up, the MCU actually happening, I think it might be, okay? After Endgame, a lot of people are criticizing the MCU for a lack of focus or purpose, so if Nintendo has the ability to set up a shared universe and can replace the MCU as like the main cinematic universe, they'll do it. It's Nintendo and money. Like, it could be a quick clip of Navi, it could be a Master Sword, it could like just be a green hat, for God's sakes. They pulled out their deal with Netflix to do a Zelda series, so maybe that's what they're setting up. It could be a Star Fox teaser, because they had that in the works too. This movie doesn't have to set up another Mario movie if they don't want it to, okay? The Smash Bros. Movie could be their Avengers. A Mario Party movie could be the Civil War replacement, because we all know how that ends. And they could even make a damn Squid Game parody, and we wouldn't care, okay? There's so much that they could do, it would be a Dumb idea to miss the chance.
In at number 10, The Haunted Save. The following story is based on a creepypasta written by an unknown author on the creepypasta website. The protagonist begins by saying that he was really bored by all of the video games that he had been playing lately, and just as boredom really struck him, he got a notification on his phone. It was an email with a subject line that read, "Get old bootleg SNES cartridges only in today's e-auction." Intrigued by this, he decided to order one called Bootleg Super Mario World. When he put the cartridge in to play, everything seemed normal, but the hills and clouds had a slight reddish tinge to them. The first time he hopped onto a pipe to go into the next level, Mario just began falling. He kept falling for what felt like forever, and when he finally hit the ground, Bowser was waiting for him at the bottom. Bowser then pulled out a portal gun, shooting the ceiling above him, and before the protagonist could react, hot lava began dumping onto Mario. Mario began making terrible noises, unlike anything that he had ever heard before. Safe to say, he'll never order games online ever again. The following story is based on a creepypasta also written by an unknown user and involves a terrifying encounter with the game Super Mario Legend of the Seven Stars. The strange thing was that when he picked up the cartridge, it was hot. Like really hot. The weird thing about this was he hadn't used the game in months, so he had no idea why the cartridge was so warm. Wanting to play, he just put the game in and continued. To much of his dismay, the title screen was different. Instead it said, Legend of the Seven Screams. Mario seemed upset when he began playing, but he couldn't really figure out why until he realized that Luigi was missing. Then when he opened the overworld map, he noticed something odd about Mushroom Way. It looked like it had been completely destroyed. Parts of the map were charred with the mangled bodies of enemies lying everywhere. He almost threw up at the sight of this apocalyptic scenery. Before he could do anything, this shadowy figure attacked Mario, pushing him into the fire. The game then cut to a memorial service held for Mario. Everyone was there, standing around his grave as they lowered his coffin into the ground, and what he didn't see coming though was Luigi poking his head into the shot with an evil grin on his face, giggling loudly through his speakers as the screen faded to black. In at number 8, The Skeleton Family. The protagonist of this story begins by saying that when they were a little kid they loved playing Super Mario 64. Skip ahead to today, and now as an adult they finally had the ability to buy this old game to hit those nostalgic feels. They purchased the game for next to nothing on eBay, and not too long afterwards the mint condition copy arrived at their home. The game seemed to be in good condition, but what was upsetting was the box. It was just a plain cardboard box with the word Mario written on it, kinda crudely too. And when Mario's face appeared though, he was overjoyed because nothing was more fun with that first screen. You remember that first screen where you get to pull Mario's face in every direction? Well, he pulled one of Mario's ears in one direction, but the second that he tried to do it to the other ear, this loud static noise just blared through his speakers. And when he started the game, he went towards the first painting that you jump through, but was shocked to see that the painting was different. Instead of the usual Bob Ohms in the golden frame, it was Luigi hanging from a noose. He tried to shut off his N64, but it wouldn't turn off. The painting then rapidly started to decay until the only thing left was the skeleton of Luigi. In at number 7, The Hack. The following story is about a Super Mario World hack that you can actually still download. The author of this creepypasta really goes into some intense details of the strange things that were happening to him throughout this hacked version, but let's just sum it up for you. Essentially, he's greeted with cryptic messages that threaten him throughout the game, all while playing as this dulled down version of Mario. The game renames the area as well to Dinosaur Land, which kind of makes us wonder whether or not this was supposed to be the story from Bowser's perspective. Either way, nearing the end of this hack, he rides out most of the game on Yoshi with the new text box telling him that there is no escape from this hell. Little did he know that the game wasn't talking to Mario, it was talking to Yoshi. When finally reaching the end of his route, Yoshi just tossed Mario off his back right into like this black void. He seemed to fall forever, and expecting to land in another level, he just waited, but nothing happened. It was just a black screen. Yoshi had killed Mario. In at number 6, Jim died, bro. In yet another story about purchasing a used copy of a video game, the protagonist in this creepypasta tale buys a copy of Mario for the NES at a flea market. The man selling the game seemed upset. He told the boy that this game once belonged to his son Jim before he passed away. Once home, the protagonist begins playing, but is thrown off upon seeing the text above the green pipe that reads, "Welcome to the scary hell place." When Mario went down the pipe, he swears he heard someone say the words, "No hope." The screen then suddenly faded to black, and just like a classic jump scare, the ghostly face of Princess Peach popped onto the screen. He nearly fell out of his chair from the sight of it. When he reset the game and opened up the last save, the name had been changed. Instead of his name, it just read, "Jim died, bro." In at number 5, it's all your fault. Growing up, the protagonist was a big fan of the Super Mario series, and on his birthday he received a package in the mail. Inside was a used copy of the game with a message attached to it that read, "Do not play." Clearly he ignored this and dove in head first. When the game began, the skies were dark and the music was chilling. As he looked around, he noticed a signpost that read, "Dear Mario, come to the castle, I have something to show you, yours truly, Bowser." The game went into a cutscene then of Bowser sitting in his throne with the heads of Luigi and Peach on both sides of him. The camera then cut to Mario's face as he shouted, "You took everything from me." The camera then turned back to Bowser as he said, "Come face me." The two engaged in a battle unlike anything that he had ever seen before, and when Bowser was finally defeated by Mario, Mario stood beside the lava pit staring deeply into it just in case the monster returned. And suddenly a teardrop fell from Mario's face as he said to himself, "It's all your fault," right before he too leaped into the lava. In at number 4, Mario and the Killer. The following story was written by a user who claimed to be a beta tester for Nintendo, and on his very first day, they gave him a game called Mario and the Killer. He thought this couldn't possibly be real, someone must be pranking him, but everyone said no, it's real, and so he began playing to search for any glitches in the game. And on the title screen was Luigi's face, but it would flash randomly back and forth to an image of Mario with his eyes missing. He was greeted by Peach, but there was something sinister about her too. Peach's teeth seemed sharp, like razor sharp, and her eyes felt like they were devoid of any emotion whatsoever. Out of nowhere, a Goomba approached screaming and running straight at Mario, so the beta tester did what you usually do with Goombas and jumped up into the air and squashed the enemy. Although the animation was much more brutal than anything that he had ever seen. The Goomba splattered everywhere with blood splashing onto Mario's blue pants. Right when he did that, the evil Peach cackled like a witch. He turned the camera towards the castle, only to watch it explode and begin crumbling before his eyes. What a nightmare. This next story also involves someone who purchased a used N64 and Super Mario from a garage sale only for their life to be turned upside down by a video game. Stuck to the side of the console was a sticky note that read, "Do not use the console on any TV or device, it will end in doom." Assuming that this was just a scare tactic by some kid who didn't want their parents to sell it, he tore off the note and started up the game. Right away he knew this game was different. Mario's eyes were a black void and he seemed empty of any emotion, almost like he wasn't even happy to be there. Then, when he entered the Bob-omb level, all of the Goomba's eyes were also missing. Terrified of what might happen next, he unplugged the console and went right back to the home where he purchased this cursed game. On his way there though, everyone he passed was wearing a red Mario hat. Starting to feel like he was going crazy, he approached someone to ask what was with all the red hats, but no one would even look him in the eyes. When he finally yelled hey and grabbed someone by the arm, he fell over upon seeing that their eyes were missing. And at that moment he blacked out completely, and when he came to though, he was just sitting on the lawn of where he bought the game in the first place. In at number 2, he's there. One day this gamer had a craving to play some Mario for his N64, although his mom thought that he didn't play games anymore, so had actually tossed out all of his games. In a rage, he went to his local GameStop to purchase a new copy. And obviously this was an older game, so the only choice that he had was to buy a used copy. Although the cashier warned him that he shouldn't play this game, he just kept saying, "He's there, he's there." Ignoring him, he bought the game anyways and continued on his merry way. About an hour later when the game loaded up, something was seriously wrong. Mario's eyes were missing in this one as well, and before he could even play, Mario took control. He began viciously attacking everyone in the game like a zombie, pulling them to shreds and eating their discarded limbs as he went along. The camera then shifted to Bowser's perspective, who was holding Peach tightly in fear as he said, "He's there, he's at the castle doors." Bowser then tossed Peach at Mario as he ran off, and Mario did the same thing to her as everyone else, brutally killing Peach and then sprinting at Bowser shortly after. Bowser was trapped, he had literally nowhere to go, and Mario was foaming at the mouth as he let out the most maniacal laugh you've ever heard. That's when the game just crashed, and the gamer began to feel a sharp pain in his back. He turned to see Mario standing behind him, and a knife sticking out of his back as Mario said, "I told you I'm there." It's a weird story, guys. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, Super Mario 666. The following story is based on a creepypasta we discovered on Reddit. The protagonist of the story says that recently a home in their neighborhood had mysteriously been destroyed. The newspaper stated that it was an explosion from a gas leak in the house, but who's to say? Unfortunately, no one in the home survived, but one day a friend of his came rushing over to his house saying that he had found something important. His friend was nearly out of breath from sprinting all the way to his home, and he had found something in the rubble of the home that was destroyed. It was a copy of Super Mario 64, although right where the number 64 should be, in place where the number 666. They immediately put the game into their old N64 and started playing. The boys were greeted with a signpost that read, "King Bob is dead." Now his legion of followers are lost without purpose, they can only do what they know best. That's when they began to hear this ticking noise. As Bob walked onto the screen, its eyes were red. It was staring directly at the two boys. The sound began to pick up speed. Tick, 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 tick. That's when they realized that the game was responsible for that mysterious explosion. They sprinted out of their house only for moments later to have history repeat itself, and now his home as well had erupted with flames. The firefighters sorted through the rubble, but the only thing they found still intact was Super Mario 666.
Number 10, Spec Ops Mario. This creepypasta comes from the user The Trial of Redacted on Reddit and is about when the user discovered that Mario has a collection of guns in Super Mario RPG. When the user had loaded his past save in Super Mario RPG, Mario seemed to be holding something. While playing through the game, Mario would randomly stop and raise his hand as if pointing, and then would lower it and continue on. The author really got worried when, after he stood up, Mario seemed to fire a shot from a gun. After this moment, he looked closely at the thing Mario was gripping, and it was a pistol. After heading back to the castle, the author noticed a whole pile of guns, AK-47s, Glocks, snipers, and even an RPG. The author at this moment learned the true meaning behind the title of Super Mario RPG. Number 9, Mario is dead. This is a creepypasta based on the theory that Mario died during the events of Donkey Kong Jr., and that everything we've seen since then has been in purgatory. When you die in the game, you're dead. But you have extra lives that can bring you back, like the end of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. However, the only character to possess this ability is the player, in whichever game they're playing. No other character in the game can come back. Sure, there are endless waves of Koopas and Goombas, but those are replacements sent out by the antagonist. At the end of Donkey Kong Jr., Jumpman falls to the ground and lays there with a halo floating above his head. He's dead, and since he's the antagonist and not the player character, he has no extra lives. And if we play as the same Mario from those games, how is he still alive? But long story short, he isn't. After that game, for the crimes he has committed against Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr., he is sent to purgatory. After this game, Mario's entire persona changes. He got a new girl, lives in a magic kingdom full of acid trip talking mushrooms, and fights a giant turtle who keeps forcing him to relive his worst moment, having his girlfriend stolen. And he is constantly being tortured by not getting that cake. I don't mean the dirty one. I mean an actual cake. Number 8, hallucination. Do you want to know why Mario is always living in a magic mushroom filled kingdom? There is the answer, magic mushrooms. This drug is considered a hallucinogen, which causes you to see things, particularly panthers or purple elephants. I'm not speaking from experience, I'm just going off stereotypes. While yes, these things don't appear in Mario games, a whole lot of other weird crap does. And the user ChickenBanana26 from Reddit claims to have gone into the Mario universe while having this experience. While having fun with friends, the author decided to experiment with things he hadn't experienced before, and after having a Mario themed power up, he was having strange visions. He was sent to a world with talking mushrooms and bright colors, like the Mario universe itself. The other things he experienced, like Koopas and Goombas, were just his friend's pet turtles and mushrooms, which he decided to stomp on. He only came down from the high when a bullet bill hit him in the arm, and when he woke up, his friend was over him with a gun. Don't do drugs, kids. Stay in school. I'm one to say that. Number 7, Mario's Gamble. This user, the Green Hippo from Reddit, claims that in Super Mario Odyssey's New Donk City, there is a secret hidden casino where you can gamble all your hard-earned currency and then have your princess leave you. When entering it, it looks like a Mario-themed casino would. Servers wearing red and blue suits, bartenders wearing princess dresses, and themed games. When the author found this, they went to the slot machines that were Mario Kart themed. They had the blocks for power-ups from the game, and you would spin and you had to get 3 in a row, you know, typical slot machine. Well, when the author had run out of coins and was down to his final one, he spun one last time. It was 2 AM and he should have been in bed, but he didn't have to save and thought that he would never find this place again, so he kept going. When the slot machine stopped, they had managed to get 3 bullet bills. They were ecstatic and looked around the machine. but there wasn't any listing for how much he won. As he's looking, he hears a click come from outside. Then a barrage of bullets came in through his window and wall, breaking the window, TV, computer, everything they could. When it finally stopped, he immediately ran outside, but nobody was there. Number 6, Super Mario Odyssey, Dead Kingdom. When this unknown author from the creepypasta fandom page wanted to get a new game, his local CEX had a copy of Mario Odyssey used. The cashier said that the person who returned it was extremely upset and didn't want the game anymore. They thought nothing of it and bought the game. When they got home, they put the game in their Switch and started it up. There was a save already, presumably from the last owner. So they loaded it up and they began in the Metro Kingdom. They wanted to head somewhere else and there was an area called the Dead Kingdom, and they had never heard of it before. They decided to go to the Dead Kingdom, you know, cause that's a good idea. And when they got there, they got bad vibes instantly. It was silent and looked similar to the Lava Land from Mario 64, and every Mario character was dead. They saw a power moon and got it, but when they touched it, instead of earning it, they got a black screen and a sound that seemed to be Mario dying. After there was nothing for 2 seconds, then it showed a picture of every character hanging by nooses, including Mario. The author called Nintendo and they apologized, explaining that they had a depressed worker who created the level and it was never supposed to be in the game. They said they would make sure this kind of thing would never happen again and hung up. When the author woke up the next day, there was a knock on the door. A bloody man was standing there yelling, "You did this!" Don't be weird in Mario games, man. It's your fault. Number 5, Mario Tried to Kill Me. This unknown author from the fandom page's grandmother had just bought them a Wii, and they were excited to finally have their own console. They loaded it up in their room, and Super Mario was already installed. Being a huge Mario fan, they loaded the game, but no matter how hard they tried, Mario wouldn't move. They tried resetting, but the game said, "Don't reset, go back. You'll find something." The author went back and Mario was staring at him. Mario walked up to the screen and his hands reached out and pulled him into the game. The author looked around but could only see Mario and a shell. They kicked the shell at Mario, but Mario just kicked it right back. They started running what seemed to be an endless 1-1 level, but as they saw a cliff, they knew they had to make a choice. Mario or the pit? They jumped and made it over the pit, running for the flag that was now in sight. As he touched it, he saw Mario disintegrate and the author was thrown out of the game. The screen said, "Thank you for killing that dick, Mario." And then the Wii was shut off. When the author turned the Wii back on, the game was no longer there. Rip. Rip. F's in chat. Number 4, Giant Mario. While playing the new Super Mario Bros. For the Wii U, user Mystery619 had gotten a power-up that made him a Giant Mario. He went around destroying everything and loved it, eventually somehow making it to the Mushroom Kingdom. He was knocking down houses and even punched the castle a few times. Then the screen went black. Static appeared and it had the sound of cars honking. Then the sound of cars crashing. This was weird since he wasn't playing Odyssey and there was no cars in the game, but the sound got louder and more realistic. Eventually it sounded as if the author had surround sound, but then they realized the sound was coming from outside. They ran to the door and there were cars on fire and stuck under each other. Then they heard a crack. As they looked up, the roof was torn off their house, having debris fall and almost kill the user. The author focused on the being that tore off the roof, and it was his Mario, smiling, enjoying the destruction. Number 3, Baby Mario. Warning adult themes on the Super Mario Reddit page has a story about Baby Mario. Not the Baby Mario we know, the son of Mario. After years of trying and nearly succeeding, Mario was finally able to marry Princess Peach. But when they settled down and started to have a family is where things get crazy. While doing the deed, Mario thought he needed a little help. So he popped a mushroom and rejoined his new wife. When the deed was done, and 9 months later, a little baby Mario was brought into the world. But as he was being born, thanks to the mushroom Mario took, the baby started growing. While Peach was doing her best to get it out in time and the Toad doctor was pulling, there wasn't enough time. The baby Mario ended up killing Peach during birth, and Mario blamed her for causing his true love to die. Growing up, Mario was abusive and controlling, constantly putting his son down for what he did to his mother, and never touching another mushroom in his life. But without the mushrooms, he shriveled, leaving the void of the character we play as. His son took up the mantle, and that's why he can grow so much bigger with the help of a special mushroom. And ultimately at number 2, the white eyes. When this unknown user from the creepypasta Reddit page was playing Super Mario 3D World on their 3DS, his Mario had blank eyes. He thought it was cool, and that it was just a special glitch just for him. So the author tried their hardest to leave their DS on and keep the blank eyes. But after a month of the DS being on, the game started to glitch out even more. Mario would sometimes not even move. He would move the opposite direction he was supposed to, and he would grab objects without being told to. After a few days of this, Mario stops obeying altogether and the author loses all control. The Mario looks looks at the screen and yells, "I've been awake for a month, and you keep believing I'll do what you want?" That's a terrible voice, but I don't care. The white eyes turned to red and Mario jumped at the screen, grabbing hold of what could only be the camera and punching it until the author was kicked back to the home screen. Save your game and close it. Otherwise, next time, Mario may not be so nice. Number 1, Luigi's Revenge. Remember the story I told last time that was number 1 about Mario's jealousy? Well, there's a sequel. This story resumes where the last one left off. Mario cutting off Luigi's member. Luigi is brought to the hospital and rushed to emergency. He is able to be saved but has lost a valuable asset. Mario puts it away in a box in his room and starts hiding away from the rest of the kingdom. Luigi obviously wanted to get revenge, so he snuck into Mario's room to do the same deed. Unfortunately, however, Mario wasn't there. Luigi searched around his room and found his lost member, and thought of a new plan. Mario later comes back to see his love Peach, but as he enters the room, Luigi is laying in bed with her, getting one last use out of that lost appendage. That's when Mario decides that cutting something off wasn't enough. So he proceeds to cut them both down instead.